is the most important of all the vowels. Now, a funny thing happens with There's what you might call a device called visarga, which is much more than a device because it's the thing that actually makes speech manifest, and it's the thing that makes the world manifest. Visarga, you could think of it as reflection, in the same way that when Shiva looked in the mirror to see himself, he saw a reflection, the reflection of Shakti. And it also means an echo. So the visarga of the echo of is the anahat, the untouched, the unstruck syllable of ha. So if we want to see the beginning and the end, the alpha and the omega, the pure consciousness and the final manifestation of consciousness, we put with visarga and we get aha. But aha is still incomplete because there exists a tension between the and its echo, ha. That tension is marked by bindu, and that is the nasal ma, or rather than ma, because there's no vowel attached to what we think of as the letter M. So when we put together the plus the ha, add the bindu, we get aham. Now aham means I, the first person singular pronoun, I, but it also means the entire universe. It's Shiva and Shakti connected by the bindu of tension that exists between them, and this is the universe.
Babaji?
Yes.
Aham also reflected as maha.
I think that I think that that's a much later issue. We haven't really even discovered yet what aham really is.
Yes.
When I say that it means I and it means the universe, we still have to see how that really works. I don't want you to accept and memorize things that I say. I want you to try and see them along with me, rather than take my word for it or take the word of any author on this. Yes.
Is the aham somehow related to om or aum, A-U-M?
Well, we'll get there. We'll get there very soon.
Okay,
and again, I'm going to do the same thing with om as with maha, which is to really take this up a little bit later, because what you're going to discover is that all this speech, and especially sacred speech, requires specific earth, specific soil, specific context. And when we try to universalize and generalize, especially sacred speech, then we fall into a trap, because it sort of means what we're defining it to be. But if you would really try and use it, apply it for something, it just wouldn't do the job because it doesn't have its context, its native soil to sit in. It's as if you're trying to transplant a plant that grows in the rich soil of the jungle in the desert. It's just not going to grow because it lacks its proper context.
Thank you.
So this, the is the first and the most powerful of Shiva's Shaktis, and it's referred to as Chit Shakti. Chit being consciousness. So this is the Shakti of consciousness itself. The next, well, there's two ways to do this. I'll go through the expansion of the syllable a. When we apply a strengthening to the syllable a, we get ah. Okay? There is a difference. These are two specific different syllables, a and ah. And if you will all pronounce these two things together, maybe close your eyes for just a moment while you pronounce this. Feel the difference between a and ah. Can you do that for a second?
Ah, ah.
Okay, can you tell me the difference that you feel between these two syllables?
I feel we go from unmodified voice to a ever so slight, subtle variation that's a result of a manipulation in the throat.
Okay. If you magnify that difference, Kailash, times 1,000, okay, so that now it's a major difference. Because let me warn you all about something, that in English, we only have one letter T. But in Sanskrit, there are 4 letter T's. And there's 4 letter D's, right? And there's not one letter A, there's 2, right? There's a and there's ah. And believe me, there is as much difference between a and ah, or ta and ta, as there is between A and B and C. There are huge differences here.
What I notice, Babaji, when I say and ah, is that there's a massive space in my throat when is strengthened. My whole throat opens and the sound gets bigger and even moves with more almost yeah, it amplifies it, and the space of my throat opens and I can feel the vibration in a bigger area.
Okay, let me ask you this, that if means the undifferentiated, what does ah mean? Why, okay, we saw in which case we would naturally and spontaneously articulate the syllable a. What would be the circumstance that we would articulate the syllable ah?
When I know something, I would say,
okay.
ah.
When it comes to you.
So there's knowledge, there's recognition.
Just a second, forget knowledge and recognition. Let's get back to what you first said. That when you realize something, when you suddenly know something.
The aha moment.
Huh? Okay.
The aha moment.
Okay, maybe also if you taste a delicious dish for dinner, you might say, ah, that's really good. You wouldn't say
Satisfaction.
You wouldn't say because is still questioning. You might say is this good? But if you say that means that it's really good. So whereas is the Chit Shakti of Shiva, undifferentiated, when he looks in his mirror and he sees Shakti, he exclaims, ah, right? So it could be both that moment of realization, and it could be that moment of pleasure. So, is called Anand Shakti. It's the Anand Shakti of Shiva. Okay?
Yes.
Now, all of this is taking place at the Ka Varga. You remember the Ka Varga now?
Down the throat.
Okay, it's in the throat. And I'll tell you a very funny thing about the Ka Varga. Is that when the syllable contracts, there's a contraction of the syllable, a vowel, when there's a compactness, a condensation of the vowel, it becomes ka. The and the ka are coming from the same place.